To understand how absolutely hysterical this story is, unless if you're a Rockets fan, of course, I have to take you through literally every piece of news over the past 24 hours that we have gotten in terms of the way the NBA wishes to handle the COVID-19 pandemic as they attempt to restart the NBA in about 16 days. So yesterday, Adrian Wojnarowski announced an updated additional health and safety guide with teams, this time which is going to be 158 pages, allowing for team and player dining at specific approved restaurants on trips, outdoor dining, or indoor restaurants in fully privatized space, according to the document obtained by ESPN. Now, further details, and I think this is the most important information that you guys need to know in order to understand the situation. At home, players and staff are not allowed to enter bars, lounges, and clubs, live entertainment/gaming venues with limited exceptions, public gyms, spas, pool areas, or large indoor social gatherings of 15 or more people. The NBA tells teams in the expanded health and safety guide, traveling amid the pandemic is a great challenge for teams in this new season. NBA and NBAPA are searching for ways to allow some freedom, but also limit exposure to the virus. Teams will be notified of the vetting process for approved restaurants soon. The NBA is also going to be providing twice a week testing for household members of players and staff. The league is encouraging that to enhance protection throughout the season. I want you to remember that as I deliver this news for you guys. And before we cut to the news, just wanted to let you guys know that I just dropped one of the greatest pieces of content I've ever done on my gaming channel, where we restart the NBA season from the 1949 season on NBA 2K21 on the PS5. It's on my TheFlightMike TV gaming channel. You should see it at the end screen if you want to check it out, or you could go to the comment section down below and click on the channel that's posting the pinned comment. If you also want to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications, as this is our second video of the day, and although the news might annoy the living crap out of you, a like goes a long way in supporting my career as a content creator. Oh, and if you also want to check us out on IG, that'll be swell as well. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, I understand what you might be thinking. Mike, why on earth did you give us all of that information? Well, over the past 24 hours, there's been a decent amount of drama surrounding James Harden and the Houston Rockets. I don't think it's a bold statement at all whatsoever to say that the Houston Rockets have had one of the most tumultuous off seasons that we've ever seen in NBA history. It all started with the firing of Daryl Morey. Although it was technically a resignation, we all know that technically Daryl Morey was fired because he went ahead and joined a different team. And by the way, shout out to Daryl Morey for following us on Twitter. We appreciate that. Mike D'Antoni also said that he was going to move on from the team as well, and that's when things got a little weird, because the big question was, who are the Houston Rockets going to hire as their next head coach? And depending on who they decide to hire as their next head coach, it would speak volumes about the direction of their organization. If they go ahead and hire an established head coach who has extensive coaching experience, then I'm sure the stars on the team would be okay with the direction of the franchise. But the Houston Rockets didn't necessarily do that. They went ahead and hired a first-year head coach, an assistant coach of the Dallas Mavericks, and Stephen Silas. And I don't mean to bag on Stephen Silas. For all you know, he's going to be a fantastic head coach. But you know what they say, people would rather choose the thing that they know than uncertainty, even though the uncertainty has greater potential. This scared the living crap out of Russell Westbrook, which scared the living crap out of James Harden. Russell Westbrook and James Harden would then go ahead and demand trades, and then James Harden would kind of rescind his trade and say, I'm committed to the Rockets, and then again he would demand a trade to the Brooklyn Nets, but then Kevin Durant would come out and say that's BS, and James Harden never did demand a trade to the Brooklyn Nets. That's when things got really weird, honestly. Now, the Houston Rockets, nevertheless, have made a move since. They absolutely broke the internet last week when they decided to trade Russell Westbrook for John Wall and a first-round pick. And for the most part, depending on who you ask, people think that both sides won the trade. If you ask me, I think the Washington Wizards absolutely decimated the Houston Rockets in this trade because they kind of took advantage of the fact that Russell Westbrook's value was plummeting on the trade market, and they were able to trade a player that has a very similar skill set in John Wall. Although a ruptured Achilles, which is known to be an injury that absolutely alters careers and saps players of their athleticism. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets get a player that could occasionally shoot the three at a better rate than Russell Westbrook, but might be a shell of his former self. But that's not the only thing the Houston Rockets did. They went ahead and signed another player that has an extensive injury history in DeMarcus Cousins, who's coming off of a torn Achilles and a torn ACL injury. And then they went ahead and also signed Christian Wood. And this isn't necessarily to bag on the Rockets. I'm always rooting for John Wall. I have his rookie year jersey sitting in my closet, but I'm just saying when you look at this trade on paper, it doesn't really look good for the Rockets, but at the same time, staying with Russell Westbrook, who was a poor fit next to James Harden, also didn't look so good for the Rockets. So I guess the Rockets did as much as they could with one hand tied behind their back. But the reason I'm mentioning all of this is that kind of builds up to the point we're at now. The number one question is, on the very first day of practice, on the very first day of training camp, with a brand new head coach and a brand new supporting cast, your general manager that's absolutely in love with you is no longer there anymore, but the team clearly wants to keep James Harden. So how will James Harden finally react to all of the turbulence that happened during the offseason? Well, when John Wall was asked about what he thinks is going to happen with James Harden, he said that he fully expects James Harden to for sure play for the Houston Rockets this season, according to Mark Stein. Wall said that he had a great talk with James Harden since Houston traded Westbrook for Wall. Now, the head coach Stephen Silas had something else to say about James Harden. The first thing that he said was James Harden has been following the NBA protocols as far as he knows. Well, I have some news for you, Stephen Silas. According to this footage we have right here, which is probably going to get this video demonetized, by the way, so make sure you just leave a like so you can help the content grow. But James Harden is clearly at a specific type of club or lounge with more than 15 people there. He's not following protocols, bro. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's not following protocols. I don't care what you say. I don't care how much you support James Harden. He's not following protocols here. Now, here's the best part. James Harden didn't make it to practice the very next day, which just makes things even more sketchy. Now you have Stephen Silas questioning James Harden's commitment to the Rockets, saying that that's a question that you're going to have to ask James once he gets there. And James Harden did react and respond to this whole situation on his Instagram. No, literally, that's what he posted. This is it. That's his only response to this situation at the time of this video. So let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Make sure you check out our 1949 career sim. Subscribe and turn on our notifications if you enjoy the content. Aside from that, I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.